If you've ever worked with me or seen any of my stuff, you know I'm huge on authenticity and connection. I have my guest, Rory. He is a dating coach, a relationship expert, focused specifically on authentic connection and becoming your most magnetic true self. He has a bit of a different backstory than most people in the space. So I really wanted to get into it, share his experience, and teach you guys a little bit about the authentic side of dating and relationships. And with that, welcome to the Becoming podcast and welcome, Rory. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Gor. It's good to be here, baby.
I wanted to get into a bit of your origin story because from our conversations previously, like I kind of see you as a natural that kind of picked up all the skills as you went, as opposed to, the typical way of like being on the forums, like checking all the terminologies and, how the industry kind of started. You kind of had a unique path.
Gor, my origin story for the first 21 years of life, I think is something that most men can relate to. I was really shy. The whole girls thing, being like a social leader, authority, that just didn't exist in my world. I grew up as the shy guy. That was known on my block and my classmates. And before I get into it, the theme to capture life before and after, the most accurate thing I could say, it was like I was living in black and white for the first 21 years, and life in color was awaiting on the other side this entire time. So when I was 18 years old, went into a college, joined a fraternity, started having groups of 80 plus girls 4 nights a week show up at the house. And you'd think like, all right, this is it. I'm going to start pulling women. I'm hot shit. They're coming to my house. Dude, absolutely nothing changed. I was scared, shitless, nervous every night before the girls came over because I had that lingering thought in my gut. What am I going to say? What am I going to say? What am I going to say? So naturally, would just get wasted before they even showed up. And, a couple things would come out of my mouth if I was drunk, but at no point in my college career did I ever authentically connect with anybody. The only times in college, I had any connection with girls for the most part, it was like they chose me. I was wasted when it happened. And what was a surprise to me is I had like, let's say a handful of one night stands. And I thought that was something that would be really cool as a younger guy. It was absolutely meaningless. I don't know if I'm alone in thinking that, but when I woke up next to a girl after barely even remembering talking to her the night, I don't even know why we got along, what caused a connection between the two of us. It didn't feel good. It didn't feel bad. It just felt like nothing. It just felt like a bad night's sleep.
Yeah.
Like there was no momentum. Like we didn't build a relationship. And very quickly I realized like, I guess I'm not a guy who cares about this kind of stuff, cares about one night stands. And that was pretty much the entirety of my college career. I was never that loud, I wasn't like the guy to any capacity. But when things took a shift for me, and this is a big theme in all of personal magnetism too. Things took a shift when I finally started, I'll say, going right, when it seemed like my whole world was going left. And that first decision for me was to finish up my college career. I had an opportunity to study abroad. Go to London for 4 months where I didn't know anybody. I didn't know much about London. And it was relive another fraternity semester and live the same 4 months all over again, which all my friends told me, it's going to be the best year, stay. And my gut said, go to London. It was so scary committing to that at first. I'm not a confident guy. I don't have a track record being like this charming, confident guy who could do whatever he wants. But when your gut is just kind of guiding you on a feeling, just do it. There will be some good on the other side of this. It was one of those moments. And here's what happened when I got to London. Week 1, week 2, I opened up dating apps and I said, oh, I'm the American guy. So now I have an advantage. I thought it was going to be easy. I'm from New York. I'm here in London. And I tried getting these girls to like me, sending whatever stuff. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely no traction. I thought in class, all the British girls are going to like me because I'm the American with the accent. Absolutely nothing happened. And what I'm trying to point out here is when I thought people are just going to like me, like when the goal is to get somebody to like me, absolutely same life, 3,000 miles away across the ocean, the exact same circumstances.
Hmm.
And about after 2 weeks, I kind of just got a little frustrated. Like, what am I doing? I haven't really made friends. I haven't gone out with any girls. I'm barely even left my dorm room. I watched 5 seasons of the show Power in 10 days. I was going a little crazy. And then I kind of told myself, I don't care about girls. I just want to see the city. I'm in a foreign place. It'd be cool to just have somebody to show me around. That's at my core. When I got honest with myself, that's all I wanted to do. So I went back on the dating apps. I was no longer attached to anybody liking me or thinking I'm hot or anything like that. I more so wanted to just have a conversation with somebody. And if I could have a normal conversation, maybe it could lead to like us hanging out and them showing me around. And as soon as I made that small shift, all of a sudden I was kind of converting. And when I say converting, like people were just responding back to me. It was just more of a regular conversation, and it led to, hey, you seem fun. Let's go out together. And once again, I'd go on these dates just excited to meet somebody from England, not to try to get any ass, be the man, like put all that stuff away. So I don't care. I just want to enjoy another person's company. Like in college,
Right.
I never allowed myself to exist in this space. I was too focused on trying to be cool. But when I was in my own now, I was kind of able to have my own North Star guide what I actually cared about. And it was so weird. As soon as I showed up on first dates and took away the part of me that wanted something to happen, everything started effortlessly just like going really, really well. And to just give an example, my first night out with a girl, we went to a place called Nando's, like Nando's Chicken. And we went and just had a good conversation. There was nothing sexy, nothing romantic about it. Just I had fun. That meant I was laughing. That meant I was making fun of her. That meant I was just talking shit. Like I was there like she was my best friend, just shooting the shits. I didn't think I put on any moves. But by the end of the night, she asked me like, oh, like you want to come back to mine? And I was like, what? You know, a little confused. Like what went on here to make you think that? Nobody's drunk. Nobody's drunk here. This is a conscious, sober decision. And, you know, went back to her house and then we ended up hooking up, laughing and hanging out a handful of more times. And this is only looking back on it. I realized like what even happened there. I think I was simply just a refreshing experience. I didn't need anything to happen. I didn't want anything to happen. And for that reason, she could see I was just here for a good time. I was just here to get to know her. I thought it was so interesting to meet a British person who grew up across the world. I'm like, what the hell was that like? Tell me about this. Tell me about that. And I was just real curious in like how her world was different than mine based on growing up on opposite sides of the world. That alone, I think, is the only reason she liked me. Like we had no real borderline, had no compatibility. We just both had fun in each other's presence. And that was the start of me realizing, oh, I think I've been doing this wrong for the past 21 years, trying to force an outcome. And one more thing that made a big difference for me, I came back to New York and kind of started like my young adult life now. I was like 20, 23 years old. Hinge had just came out and was being promoted everywhere, all the advertisements. And I was like, all right, let me give this dating app a shot. I'm having some confidence from just being in London for 4 months. Fuck it. Let me get on the dating apps again. And I just want to preface by saying this too. I downloaded Tinder in college, like most people in the year like 2015, 2016. I absolutely fell in love with a girl who I had 2 conversations with. I never met her. I never got her phone number. We just connected via a couple Tinder conversations. Her name was Haley. She was located 124 miles away.
Shout out.
And every day I looked forward to talking to this girl. And one day, Gor, she unmatched me.
Wow.
And I was borderline fucking depressed, like sick about it, that I actually still know her full name, Haley O'Hanlon. She played lacrosse at whatever high school she went to. I
You're gonna find
still
her.
know this girl's name, full name, because of how much that struck me like a chord. And looking back on it, I was probably just one of a dozen guys she was just randomly talking to with no intention of ever meeting. And that experience rocked my world. So now fast forwarding 5 years later, I'm back on the dating apps after a new experience, new feedback from the world of like what feels good to do and not forced. And I also started to realize, you know, most girls probably get a lot of matches. I realized not everyone thinks this. Not everyone thinks of this. Most decent looking girls get like hundreds of guys writing messages to them. So I just kind of told myself, I'm not going to be the guy who types, hey, you're so beautiful.
Yeah.
Hey, we should go out. I figured similar to the experience in London, what would be refreshing? And from writing messages to just try to like point stuff out in their profile that I thought was funny, that I was curious about, just like the dates in London, Gor, they started responding to it. And after like, a few back and forth messages, all right, well, a dating app's not supposed to be here forever. I would just say, all right, well, do you want to meet up or what? Not everyone said yes,
Yeah.
but very quickly, like I started getting more and more opportunities to go out and just get to know girls better, get more comfortable with them and just have more fun, more fun, more fun. And what once was such a nerve-wracking, stressful process became the thing I looked forward to every single week. Just going out and having a conversation with a brand new girl. Like getting to know somebody via a first date became my favorite activity in the world. And I think energetically, they felt that. They
Yeah.
realized, oh, if this guy's having so much fun with me, there must be something going on between us. And in a nutshell, that is kind of what kicked off me starting to like ride on easy mode, or what I would just call living in color versus black and white for the first 21 years of life.
Yeah. I can imagine like how the results shifted once you decided to let go of the result itself. That's a huge, huge thing. I'm curious how that reflected in your like inner world, so to speak, in terms of your personality and how that comes off. Because from what I understood, you would describe yourself as an introvert, right? Before.
Yeah.
And you have this like shining personality where I would say it's like so open and non-judgmental and kind of welcoming to the world, which is at the core of that high value guy who is social and makes friends easily. That's like a core principle to have in that world of making friends, of connecting with people, of being authentic. That's like so crucial. So my question to you is like, that was learned in the sense where you picked it up along the way. I'm curious what that process was like for you to grow more and more open over time as you started off like with the inception of this authentic you. How did it develop from there to create the Rory now who has a free-spirited energy?
Great question. And the phrase to encapsulate the theme of that was Gor. It wasn't girls. It wasn't anything sexual. It was finding like a sense of belonging in the world, feeling a true sense of belonging where like wherever I went. That created almost like a blanket of safety, comfort, security that it's okay to be myself.
What does
This
that
is a
look
bit
like?
more on the maybe like spiritual way to look at it. But as soon as like I energetically
Yeah.
felt safe to be myself, like and realize it's not dangerous to say what's on my mind, I'm not
Mhm.
going to die. It brought out such a brighter part of me. And that part is where like magnetism lives. And I think short term for it is magnetism. And I
Right.
want to tell you like a quick story of
Mhm.
kind of how the process looked because it wasn't pretty. I think a lot of guys, we live in an instant gratification world. We're like, all right, I'm going to do this and get this result. It doesn't happen overnight. But as long as you have faith and like an optimistic attitude, I think you could really get anything. But this was how I started really on developing my personality. I lived in Manhattan, and as a young person, not knowing what he wanted to do with his career, I started looking into like panels of people talking who are successful, like little events going on when you can buy a $10, $20 ticket to just attend and see somebody speak. Those went on in New York City 7 nights a week. So one day I booked my first one ever. It was like, oh, VCs. I thought I was going to be this like big business guy. So I was like, let me go see the business guys talk. I bought a ticket. I showed up there at 6:55 p.m., started at 7. It was in a room with about, say, 80 people. So I walk in, and this is a very pivotal moment. There's 5 minutes until the event starts, and I don't know anybody. So I felt pressure, like I have to talk to somebody. I can't stand here, in the corner. And what I did was I went in the bathroom, looked at my watch until it was 7 o'clock. So everyone was sat down. I came out and then took a seat. The entire 90-minute panel went on. It finished. Gor, I did not talk to a single person. And the end of the night, as soon as it was over, I walked straight out, got on the subway, and went home. Now, while some people might look at that as an L or a bad night, I looked at it as I just put myself out there alone by myself in an intimidating environment, and I didn't die. That I was psyched. I was psyched about that. And
Yeah.
the next week, went back to another event hosted by like the same organization of people. This time I went there, showed up at 6:55, went to the bathroom, not, not for the whole time, but quickly came out and I went, grabbed a seat next to a person, just said, hello, like, my name's Rory. Like, what kind of brought you over here today? Like, why'd you come to see these guys?
Yeah.
Was just sharing basic curiosity that existed inside of me. We talked for about 2 minutes. The panel happened. It was over. I went home. Nothing else happened. And once again, some people might look at that as an L. I saw it as I improved my social presence and like I pushed back on my level of, I pushed up on what my level of comfort is and
Right.
what's possible. I talked to somebody, to a stranger who seemed like they were more important than me because that's the way my mind worked at the time. And it was fine. I went back again the third week. And this time, no hiding in the bathroom. I'm a little more comfortable now. Like I recognize the room. And this time, talked to two different people and had real conversations this time. And what I noticed is I was sharing a little bit more of my tonality, my enthusiasm, just speaking very directly and not being reserved the way I was my entire life. And even at the end of the panel, this time there was an opportunity to stand online and talk to these very successful people. I had the balls this time to stand online and I'm going to network with one of the guys because he did marketing for like food companies. I thought that's what I wanted to do. So I stood online for 10 minutes, talked to this really successful guy, and then he offered me his card. He's like, email me, I'll get you connected with this person, so and so. And I walked out of that meeting saying, I just networked. I talked to two women and a guy tonight. I just networked with somebody. I was on fire, Gor. Like beliefs of myself changing by the week. And guess what? I emailed the guy that week. I never heard back. Now, while
Yeah.
some people might see that as an L, absolutely not. I kept getting more and more out of the situation and really just liking what life was more. These small little marginal improvements really gave me a sense of belonging. Like these minor conversations I'd have with people, they were no longer small talk. It'd be, hey, like what brought you here? You could have been anywhere in the world tonight in Manhattan. Why are you here? And I relied on the backbone of curiosity to fuel all my conversations. And dude, everyone likes a curious person. Everyone wants to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
I quickly realized then a good frame to look at this is the attitude of like, I want to know what it's like to be you. That was my mindset on dates. That was my mindset going at these events. That was my mindset having conversations with anybody. I want to know what it's like to be you. Because the second you answer that question, it becomes interesting. And my introverted self has something to grab onto versus borderline small talk of like, oh, how you been? Dude, I want to throw up and we get walk out of the room when conversation is just like surface level. But as soon as someone shares substance, it's like it humanizes them and, oh, I could relate to that. And that builds safety. That builds a sense of belonging. So I just want to circle back to changing my beliefs to have a sense of belonging anywhere I went is what completely like, I want to say like unleashed the human within who's been caged all his life, not wanting to, step on anyone's toes.
Underneath that sense of belonging, what do you think allows you to have that sense to begin with, right? Because it's one thing for somebody to be like, all right, I'm gonna tell myself I belong. It's another thing for someone to be like, okay, I'm gonna do this thing to prove to myself that it's okay, like I feel safe.
Yeah, I think what was under that was simply having conversations with strangers, men, women, old, young, everything in between, and just seeing they're laughing, they're smiling, talking to me, they're asking me questions back. A complete stranger who just met me and saying, hey, it was great to meet you and good luck to you. Like these were not trivial. Like looking back on it, these moments were not trivial at all with allowing me to like build new beliefs about myself. When you live in your hometown your whole life or you're around the same group of friends your whole life,
Yeah.
they've known you since you were so unevolved. It's hard for you to gain a new identity when you're still in that environment.
Yeah.
And at this point, I was still living at home, but I simply was just putting myself in a room of new people. And that's such a beautiful opportunity to kind of show up as your higher self or show up as someone else, someone who wants to feel like he should be a little more expansive, but it's hard to do around the people that you spent your whole life with around.
Yeah, I think there's so much beauty in that. And I feel like you don't really realize that until you actually open up to the world. Because when you're able to connect with people to that extent and nurture the belief that like the world is a friendly place, I have value to give and people are nice to me and friendly, I make friends easily. Like when you're nurturing these beliefs and actually proving yourself right, it shows how much beauty there is in the world, especially when these beliefs lead to experiences, because your experiences reflect another person's world, and that's completely different from the world that you live in. And you get to realize that the complexity of their life is just as complex as yours, and sophisticated in many ways, where you guys can relate, but also find new things and discover new things. And it's hard to put this feeling into words, because it's really something you have to experience to understand. For example, you travel, you meet somebody, and like in London, she shows you around, you get to see the city, you get to express this different part of you that she brings out, and you guys share a connection, and she sees a piece of your world from the States, and understands who you are, and it's a breath of fresh air for her. I really love the way you phrased it in terms of feeling safe in the world and just sparking a conversation, or even just showing up, even if you don't spark a conversation, just showing up, getting out of the house and being there. Is such a huge thing, where even like at an advanced level, if you isolate too long, it's something that you need to keep nurturing. And I'll have days where I've been like working too long, and I'll be out, and words won't come as easily for me, because I've just been thinking all day, for example. But the difference is that I have the awareness to adapt to that and build momentum. Momentum is the word I would like to add to that sense of belonging, because that's how you expand that sense, I would say.
I think that's a great take. And that momentum is a very real thing. A term I like to use is like, you got to stay socially lubricated.
Yeah.
Like during those times, every week I was doing something brand new, like an act of novelty, a room I've never been in before.
Yeah.
And that momentum let me build on it. I think what a lot of people could relate to is come COVID, everyone's social momentum didn't just hit the ground, but went like 6 feet under. And why, now there's like male loneliness epidemic. Everyone's lonely. Everyone's depressed. Like all this stuff is going on. And you know what I think a
Yeah.
common theme is? It used to be you hit 20, 22 years old, you join the workforce. Every single day, you're in an office of 50 to 500 people. At least in New York, that would be like the status quo. And introvert or not, you're forced to have hundreds of conversations and interactions a day, even micro ones. Eye contact down the hallway. Good morning, good morning, good morning to 10 people. All that stuff matters. And now I happen to be the age 23 when COVID struck. While most people develop socially just from their work life, I was working jobs where you're just sitting in a chair alone for 8 hours a day in your mom's basement, actually not talking or looking at anybody in the eye or having any relationships. So I don't think it's ever been more important to stay, like you said, have social momentum, be lubricated. And even being the guy I am today, I spent a lot of time this year. Like I moved into my own apartment. I spent a lot of money on the business. I wasn't talking to that many people. And like after a month of kind of isolating and working on my stuff, I went outside and realized my tongue forgot to work. Like it takes a few interactions to like get your swagger back. It happens very quick, but simple to like your muscles. If you don't use it, you lose it. And I think like a lot of the men you and me work with and speak to, they live such isolated lives with like them, their friends, and maybe just their family. And then like, very literally emotionally expressing themselves and like having new types of conversations. And they go on a date, which is such a completely different setting, and it throws them off because they're stuck asking guys like us questions. What do I say? That shouldn't be a real question. What do I say? If I were to meet you in the park tomorrow, what do I say, Rory? What the fuck? Like there's no right answer. There's no right answer. Yeah, like that should be an automatic ability we have as humans that seems so normal, but because of just the circumstances of like the digital world, COVID, like all those things, and I don't think like if you're a single guy, connecting with women has never actually been easier if you're willing to put in a little bit of effort to do these things. I think like imagine being like charismatic and magnetic. It's like this. Imagine a world where nobody worked out. Nobody went to the gym. Nobody was conscious of their protein, their calories. If you were lifting weights a few days a week and eating relatively healthy, how easy would it be to have the best physique in your town and have a standout physique that everyone's like, wow, that's something right there.
Yeah.
That's the world of like being charismatic and magnetic. There's so few people that are putting in the effort that when they do show up and just be themselves, it's so refreshing. It's so refreshing. And I want to highlight something. When you and me met for the first time, we just met over a cup of coffee at a cafe. Within 2 minutes of talking to you, the light went off in my head. I'm like, this guy gets it. Even in the sense of you were so relaxed and comfortable in your own skin. You weren't trying to do that. That's just who this guy is. And even when I ask you questions, so many people, and men are guilty of this too, are quickly spitting out answers and replies.
Yeah.
I see you like kind of look left, look right, take a second before you say what you want to say. And it was just such a sign of this guy's so comfortable in his own skin. And you were in a brand new, unfamiliar environment, meeting a stranger. And because of that, I think it was really easy to connect with you. You
Mm,
weren't
appreciate that.
on the surface just trying to keep it cool. You weren't trying to impress
Yeah.
anybody. And that is such a rare and refreshing commodity. And one thing I want to highlight too that I like to tell everybody, the way I showed up to my meeting with you is the same way I show up to a first date. Like my demeanor would be absolutely no different.
Yeah.
The way I make a joke with the barista, if I felt called to, it's no different than if she was a beautiful girl or a girl that looked like an ogre. Like, it's just, like treating everybody the same is how you are a natural. That way, it's
Yeah.
never a performance. It's never an act. It's just like an extension of who you are.
Yeah. There's no pressure to be someone else. It's just that's the practice of being yourself in a sense. And part of like feeling safe in the world is taking your time, right? Like when you're ordering something and you take out your card or you put it back in your wallet and someone's waiting behind you, like all of that reinforces the narrative that you're telling yourself. When you are rushing to get out of there to let someone else order, for example, you're telling yourself that your time is not as valuable as theirs and they need to order, and that's more important than what you're doing right now. And that's what you keep reinforcing, as opposed to the moment you become aware of that and you're like, let me just slow down real quick. Let me see how this discomfort processes inside me and see if I can make friends with that feeling. I think that's really how you start to build momentum, how you start showing up for yourself. Because every time I think about this, there's like deeper and deeper levels to it, because it's like you tell someone, just say hi to someone, and even then you'll find people saying, how do I do that? Then you're like, all right, just make eye contact. And they're like, I can't, I don't know how to do that. And you're like, all right, just get out of the house. And there's just always smaller and smaller steps you could take, to the extent where I thought through this all the way down to just breathe. Start there at the very least. You can breathe. Or you can just say a word out loud, say a sentence out loud. You don't have to say it to anyone. And then just be curious and then ask a guide for directions. And it just builds from there. And that it's so crucial to have that and to teach yourself that it's okay to do that. And it's okay to face the fear of like being social with people or connecting with people and being yourself, your authentic self.
Yeah, you referenced a micro moment of when you're putting your money away, being online at a cashier, like when they give you your change, rushing because there's someone behind you versus just taking your sweet time. Those moments matter so much. And
Yeah.
being slow, I think it's everyone's best friends, but especially for a man, like a lot of the advice to men is this: be grounded, be like an oak tree, rooted in the ground. And I think for a lot of guys who this is so far fetched for them to understand, slowing down is the most simple way to put it. And here's me, guys like me and you, like years practicing this thing. Slowing down is still maybe my favorite and best tool I have for myself too. Because sometimes, your nervous system, the day, like it kind of just gets to you and you catch yourself rushing. You catch your
Yeah.
heartbeat a little elevated. You catch yourself having overthinking nonsense thoughts. The answer every single time is to slow down, one foot over the other, and just pace yourself. That is how you kind of regain equilibrium, and you're not living in like fight or flight mode all day long. And like you said too, it teaches you to value yourself not necessarily over other people, but his time is not more important than mine.
Yeah,
I'm not the ability to say, like, I'm not doing anything wrong, taking my sweet time here or saying whatever I want to say. There's nothing wrong with this.
I love that. One thing I wanted to ask in regards to magnetism is like, how would you define that? Is that different from having a sense of belonging and being your authentic self? Is that like the next step?
Yeah, one way to define magnetism. Have you ever heard of the French saying "c'est quoi"? Yeah, so "je ne sais quoi" is it doesn't really translate well. It's a French thing, but it basically means this indescribable quality about somebody that just kind of pulls you in. Like it's something about them. It has
Mm,
no height, it has no status, it has no jaw structure, it has no physical body to it. And I want to ask you too, have you ever been in a room and somebody walks in, maybe you talk to them and you're like, I don't know what it is. It's something about this guy. Like I like this guy. He hasn't done anything for me, but there's something about him.
yeah.
That is magnetism in its finest. And one of like the qualities that describe it is someone who has so much trust in themselves and they really like themselves that they don't need to prove anything to anybody. Like they don't need anything. I think a one-liner to describe this, it's the beautiful tension between they know how to be engaged, but they're completely unattached, yet at the exact same time.
Yeah, I think that that kind of clicked for me as you were saying that in terms of starting off with that sense of belonging and feeling safe. I saw that as how you feel with other people. And from the way you were describing magnetism of like walking into a room and you just like this person is like how other people feel around you and how you're able to make others feel at that point by being detached, by giving them a space to be themselves with no pressure, basically, and not here to take,
Yes.
just to give, and for them to feel themselves in that space. And I think that's a really good juxtaposition in terms of growing into your authentic self is like first address how you feel in the world and then address how others feel around you. And
Yeah.
I think that comes down to more like leadership and listening skills, which you'll develop after you feel safe enough to develop them. I think that's a natural progression that
So
goes on.
something that I think plays a role here too is I think everyone grows up feeling judged to some
Mm.
degree, feeling
Yeah.
judged by our classmates, feeling judged by our superiors, feeling judged by our Instagram followers, like all of the above. And as you evolve, you start to realize, oh, I was making that all up. I was really just judging myself for the most part. But one thing that really plays a role into like these magnetic people is a lack of judgment. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people come off as angry, and it comes from a place of they've judged themselves their whole life, so they feel the need to judge others. And I saw a quote a long time ago. It might have been from the actor Tom Hardy, but it was something basic along the lines of this: like, I treat the CEO with the same respect that I treat the janitor. And that was one of those quotes. I saw it and I was like, yeah, that's really cool. Like, and I never forgot that. And that has been something I've leaned on and have gotten so much back. And what I mean by that is I have the same amount of curiosity when I meet a woman who works at a tanning salon for a living and when I meet a woman who is a surgeon. I remember at a time in life, I was going out with simultaneously two girls. That was their careers. And the one thing that they have in common is I've never worked at a tanning salon. I have no idea what it's like. I've never done surgery on a human being. I have no idea what it's like. I could go my whole life without knowing what either of those two things are. But now in front of me, I have two people who do this for a living, who know what it's like, who know what it's behind the scenes, and like, I want to know the story. And simply showing the same amount of interest to that person, like people who are that drastically different, I think plays such a significant role in like being a social leader and being someone like that can adapt to any environment you're in. Like that's such a high, underrated skill, being able to like, you know, kick it with the bums or kick it with the executives and be able to keep up in conversation, be respected and be well liked in both scenarios. I think that's like a very underrated thing people pass on. Most people only want relationships if like there's high value men in the room or a hot girl is here. All right, then I'll be
Mm.
interested in them.
Yeah.
And it's such a shame. And I think you miss out on like a whole dimension of being a human when you have those thoughts.
There's so many things you touched on there that I really want to comment on in terms of connecting with people that you have no knowledge of the background that they're in and how you're able to connect anyway. And how you said being a social leader, how you described that as being a social leader. I feel like you can connect with anyone. I get the question a lot, like, what do I say? Right? Or I'm an engineer. How do I explain that part of my life to a girl in a fun way, for example? And what I always jump to is that it's not about the thing itself, it's about the feelings behind it. And that's what allows you to connect with someone that you know nothing about, right? Because you can relate how it feels to create a program just like it feels to create a piece of art or really anything, to put together a Lego block. And that feeling of creation, of feeling like you accomplished something, like everybody can relate to that. You don't have to have the same background to do that. And then how that facilitates a conversation to give people a place to explain who they are, to feel themselves. Like you said, they love talking. Everyone loves talking about themselves. To be able to talk about themselves to you, because you're coming from a curious place. It's the most interesting people are interested, right? It's because that's another thing a lot of people say is like, I don't know how to make my life interesting. You know, you are interesting, but what makes you really interesting is how you're interested in other people. And that leads into the empowerment aspect, where you learn to become that social leader. Because the other thing that I really love is powerful people empower others. And when you
Mm.
are able to give somebody validation, that puts you in a powerful state that you are worthy to validate this person, right? Like if Kobe Bryant came and said, "You're a great basketball player," you feel honored that he thinks you're a great basketball player, because he's in a place to validate you. In the same way, like I've had moments where just a girl was passing by and I was like, "Hey, hold on. Like I saw you sitting with your friend over there. Like I just want to say you have like the most cheerful smile that kind of lights up the room. I'm sure your friends appreciate you for that." And she left with an even bigger smile, and that's all I really wanted to say. Right. But I also say that because I feel enough to give that empowerment to her, as opposed to like, I'm not worth her time. Let me rush to get my order in, put my stuff in the wallet and run away. Right. It's like slowing down and giving people a sense of significance because you've given yourself that sense of significance. And there's no respect like the respect that comes from self-respect, because people can tell. And the same concept for self-love and appreciation and all the other emotions. So that's a powerful take on being a social leader.
Yeah, I like what you said there. And empowerment absolutely is feeling significance.
Right.
Everyone deep down wants to feel significant because we all are unique human beings. Every single one of us have a completely unique perspective and life experience. And when you can be the person to shine that significance on them, people just love being around you. It's a great feeling. And I want to give one quick example that, like, maybe to the people listening, they could take away and actually use this super basic thing here. And this could get a lot of us out of our own head. So let's say I go to a dinner party and I don't really know too many people there. And I sit down on the couch next to one guy. I'm like, "Oh, so what do you do for a living?" And he says, "Oh, I'm an engineer." There's two parts. There's two voices in my head.
Mm,
One voice says, "Oh, engineer. I know what an engineer is, right? They do
right.
engineer stuff, right?" Like anyone would think. And there's another part of my voice that says, "Well, you know what? I've heard of an engineer. I know there's 10,000 different kinds of engineers. I've never actually sat with one who could tell me a little bit what the hell a day in the life is like for an engineer." So if I were to look at him and be like, "Oh, what kind of engineer are you?" And he says, "I'm an electrical engineer." And I just speak freely. Wow. I've never actually met someone who works as an electrical engineer. What's like a day in the life for a guy like you? All of a sudden, I have given this guy permission to share a story he's probably wanted to share for years, but nobody's asked.
Yeah.
Nobody's asked. And I think a lot of this is giving energy, but I just want to make it very clear. Although it feels giving to him, I get to hear this incredible story about what life is like for an electrical engineer. Like, who doesn't like to learn new things?
Mm,
I feel empowered just getting the knowledge and, getting to ask the professional questions for free. And
yeah.
I see that as a completely equal experience. And that's what makes conversation so easy. in my opinion, getting to the like that feeling so fast.
Hmm. On that note, like, what would you say are like 2 to 3 practical things that a guy can do to come across more magnetic to someone and more attractive in terms of like the daily practice?
Yeah. What one thing? Okay, one way to be more magnetic in conversation is like be a nerd. Like we grew up
Mm.
thinking nerds were like the losers. The older I get, the people who are nerds about what they do and how they spend their time, like they're so interested in their business projects, their personal projects, their relationship with fitness, like such nerds about it. Those are the funnest people to be around. And you always have something to learn. So
Yeah.
whatever you're interested in, like be someone that wants to tell, wants to talk about it, wants to tell stories. And a second thing that shows up as really magnetic is being with dates, with socializing, any of the above. Be radically honest.
Mm.
This goes such a long way, especially in masculine communication. But I'll give like one example. If I was on a first date with a girl and we're getting to know each other, it's going well, and then she tells me about her recent trip to Jamaica with her girlfriends. And I ask her about her trip. And then she proceeds to tell me, oh, like we had everything planned, like morning, afternoon, lunch, like dinner, everything was planned 7 days in a row. We did this. Tells me everything. If the voice in my head says, wow, that is way too structured for a guy like me. I could never go on vacation and be so type A is what people
Yeah.
call it. So like I think what most guys would do is have that thought and say, "Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Jamaica. Yeah." As opposed to being like, "Listen, Danielle, I got to tell you something. Like I could never do a trip like that. That is way too type A for me." Like you see I'm smiling, I'm laughing. And that's
Yeah.
kind of projecting to her brain like this is a funny fun situation. I'm not saying you're wrong. Anything's bad about that. I'm just letting you know I could never do something like that. You and me are wildly different. And pointing that out builds polarity. It builds like friction, like beautiful friction between two people. Like, not only why are we similar, why are we different?
Mm.
That's a great thing to point out instead of just being just wildly agreeable with everybody. So, being radically honest. And third way to be magnetic is to pace your sentences. Like, if you
Right.
get asked a question, take a breath, take a moment before you give your answer. Just little moments like that, they show one, I'm actually giving it thought. I am actually giving it thought before just spitting out an automatic response. And who doesn't appreciate some thought from their
Right.
question? And the second thing, dude, I think it's really attractive for men,
Yeah.
woman, with anybody. It's a human thing. It's really attractive when you can see someone in the moment, like their brain is, the algorithm is going off now as they're processing their thoughts. They're not just like a robot, like AI spitting out answers. They're saying, let me think about that one for a sec. And what that shows is my approval doesn't just come out so easy. Like I'm giving conscious thought. I have a standard with even the sentences that come out of my mouth. And I think that's a really attractive quality. Like when I grew up, like guys who I saw as charismatic,
Hmm.
they all moved and spoke slow.
Right.
And all I noticed in the room was like they had everybody on like a choke, like everyone was leaning in and listening as these guys took their time to make a point. And man, I think that just like it pulls people into your world. And that's what a real connection and like emotional bond is about. Like, I know what it's like to be in your world because your communication has yanked me in.
I love that explanation. I'm curious how all that reflects in your life personally, in terms of like the mindset that you carry into the day to day that keeps you naturally magnetic, or in terms of your lifestyle, like what feeds into that charisma and magnetism with friends, hobbies, and passions. Like, what does it look like for you?
Sure. For a magnetic personality, I'll speak about that first. There's
Yeah.
three things that contribute to a magnetic personality in my own personal experience, and that have become an extension of me. And the first one is a healthy sense of optimism. You know, like just
Uh-huh.
assuming everything's going to be all right, but a more poetic, romantic way of saying this, I think when I speak to someone from when I was 22 years old all the way to now, whatever's next, there's always this charm of anticipated success in my
Mm,
attitude towards myself. Like, hey,
love
Rory,
it.
you're $50,000 in debt. You're living in your mom's basement. You like shit ain't right. Shit is not going well right now. But in my head, but it will be better.
Yeah.
I feel like it's he's always a man in motion. Like, don't worry,
Yeah.
things are gonna be fine. And I've realized with time that's a very alluring, seductive quality. Like it sounds like he's going places. He's got nothing to show for it now. Maybe you're 300 pounds overweight, but you're saying, listen, man, I just got a diet plan. I joined a new gym. Give me 6 months. You
Yeah.
won't recognize me. That's magnetic. Logically, you're 300 pounds overweight, but all I'm saying is if he's a horse, I'm betting on him. Like
Yeah.
that attitude right there is such a winning formula. And the number two thing is something that's called ironic detachment.
Mm,
And that is basically somebody who like never takes anything too serious. Like the everyday trivialities and the mundanes of just life that most people get all worked up about, they get road rage about. Like you don't let that stuff get to you. It's more of a joke. Like nowadays, like a politician could go online and say something and like millions of people's days are ruined. Like I think that's crazy. And like
yeah.
genuinely, if you're around the person, their fists are clenched. It's all they could talk about. And I think it's real cool when you meet somebody that like they don't let that shit get to them. Like the regular ups and downs of life. Like they're just relaxed. They're like, that's a part of the wave. I'm concerned about my own things. And not taking things personal is a really cool thing to do. And the last thing is like a healthy celebration of the self. Like what one
Mm,
thing I started doing I like 20, like 4 or 5 years ago was practicing gratitude. I heard my whole life, practice gratitude. It's the secret. I never understood what the hell anyone was talking about when they said I practice gratitude. I'm a successful business titan, musical artist. Oh the secret is gratitude and God. I always was like, what the hell are they talking about?
yeah.
A- And the way I think I'll always describe it is for the first 25 years of my life, if you told me like I could have switched lives with like Brad Pitt or like Drake, I would have been like, yeah, switch. I want to be those guys because those guys got it all. As soon as I started practicing gratitude and had a highway to hyper focus on why I'm happy that I get to be Rory, I would never want to be those guys. Simply for the reason that I can't be me. And through practicing gratitude, like, I just wake up with I look in the mirror and like I'm psyched that I get to have another day as me. And that attitude will trickle through your communication, your sub communication, and just the energy you walk away with. And once again, just that's adds some magnetic quality about someone. Like they are really happy that they're them. It sounds so simple, but I think it's really rare today to walk around with that, and it's real.
Yeah. I love that. Optimism, ironic detachment. I hadn't heard of it described that way. That's really interesting. And gratitude. I could that's actually one of the first things I noticed about you. You were saying like you noticed that I had a calm demeanor, and I couldn't put a word on it to explain it in terms of like how you came off when we met. But that was perfectly said. I think that's one of your biggest strengths, and that's at your core is that optimism, detachment, and gratitude uh, at the core of your personality. That was very well said, and I think you absolutely live that and represent that in your life. It's very ingrained in you.
Love
Um,
that. Well, another thing you referenced was lifestyle, like
yeah.
things in lifestyle. So I love the word novelty.
Hmm.
And novelty is just the process of doing something new. Like large versions of novelty would be like traveling solo. Mid-sized versions of novelty would be like, I want to take up a boxing class. I want to attend a writing class. I want to join a hiking group just to see what it's like. Like
Hmm.
keeping a sense of newness in
Right.
life. And the biggest finding I've had with this is a lot of the recent clients I've worked with are all guys who on paper wildly successful, handsome, lot of money, CEOs, all things that like every guy wants to strive for, and they can't get girls to like them after
Yeah.
a date or two. And it's the fact that these guys, it's like they feel like they've done it all in life already. So they're just not doing anything. Like they don't have any sense
Right.
of pursuit or motion in their life. Like, oh, I'm just joined this new kickboxing thing. I'm going to build up a new skill. I just went to this new concert of a music type I've never been interested in before. Like constantly doing things like that fascinate you, make you more interesting. And it's, you know, ever meet somebody and what they do for a living or what they do with their spare time, like you've never heard of anyone who does this stuff. That pulls me right in, and my curiosity, my fascination, infatuation, and it's a certain thing about stagnant energy is not attractive, and that's why you see like billionaires get cheated on every day. A lot of times with the plumber, you know,
Yeah.
like like always being someone that's
Yeah.
going somewhere. It doesn't have to be more money. It just you're in life, you're still captaining your ship, and you're still sailing. And another quality that I think you're pretty well versed in, how to be more magnetic, like have more aura, whatever they call it, is like put more effort into like your grooming and style. Like I never had long hair the first 25 years of my life. The only reason this even happened is I moved to California. I didn't have a barber, so I didn't cut my I didn't cut my hair for a year. Then
That's
all of
so
a sudden, Gore, I'm getting compliments from old ladies left and right, like, "Oh, you have beautiful hair. You have beautiful hair." All of a sudden, a new belief is born about myself. I have beautiful
yeah.
hair. I had no fucking idea. Now it's become a part of my personality at this point. But I see all the times there are like barbers on social media, pretty popular. They'll have a guy who in their chair, he looks like he's 45 years old. He looks like shit. He just looks like a loser. If you had to judge a book by its cover, they get one new haircut,
Yeah.
15 years younger, different outfit. This guy just looks like somebody who fucks. Like, you know, it's like so much more glow and energy
Yeah.
simply by putting a little bit more effort into your grooming and style. And that's not my expertise by any means, but I realized that has its own energy
Yeah,
of its own.
definitely.
And something I've seen multiple beautiful girls say before when describing a guy who men might see as, oh, he's not handsome, he's not high status. They'll say this phrase: he just looks like he smells good. I heard this phrase, and what they mean is he's well put together.
Yeah.
His silhouette of his outfit is nice. He's his beard is trimmed. His skin. He probably washed his face that morning. Like he trimmed his nails. These things are not trivial, and I
Yeah.
think you secretly gain a little bit more respect for yourself
Absolutely.
when you do these things,
Not
and
yeah.
they all play a role in the like the energy you carry. And one more thing I want to add on to, like self-awareness activities to any degree, like any way you could possibly get feedback about yourself is really empowering. And I also remember like around 25 years old is when a lot of these things turned on for me. I went on meetup.com and I joined a Zoom of like 7 women, and the activity they were doing was like called the Wheel of Life. And all this was an exercise that was new to me. And all we did was we had a wheel with 8 categories: romance, finance, personal relationships, friendships, career, hobbies, whatever. And we just had to rank ourselves 1 through 10. How happy are we? And Gore, to this day, that was one of the most enlightening experiences I ever had, because I never asked myself any of these questions. I never asked myself how I actually feel about these categories of Rory's life. And it was really empowering to understand, oh, I actually love X, Y, and Z, but ABC, I could put more attention and love and effort into those things.
Mm.
And you do that, you know, knowledge of the self is empowerment, and you can evolve as soon as you allow yourself to receive that type of feedback and knowledge.
Yeah. That's powerful. And it's also one of the easiest things to start with when you're on this journey of like becoming more attractive and establishing new beliefs. Like beliefs take time to condition, but you could change your look in a day completely, like 180, and change your whole perspective on yourself to get to a running start in the process. So that's even more, that makes it even more important to address those things, because it's such an easy thing that most people don't address because they don't value it in their own lives, but they don't realize how it's actually affecting them. There was actually this TED talk of it was I forgot who it was, but he was talking about wearing your best outfit every day when you have no events, no celebration, nothing. Because if you wait for an event to bring out your best outfit, and that's the only time you wear it, that's the only time you feel good about yourself, you might spend the rest of your life waiting because the event is not like good enough for this outfit, or like you want to be prepared and ready. Whereas like every day should be a celebration. Every day you should look good. Your house clothes should look good. Your gym clothes should look good. Your going out clothes should look good, even if nobody sees it. But you know that you look put together and you reinforce that identity. So I think it's important in so many ways from so many angles because it affects how you see yourself.
Yeah, I hear that, Gore, and I hear like someone who like romanticizes their life, and I think that's such a healthy
Uh,
thing that allows you to have so much just energy source from within.
yeah,
And yeah, like you said it perfectly. I wouldn't add anything onto that. And I've only allowed that into my life this past year. These things I've learned from the women in my life. I've learned so
yeah,
much about other sides of me that I love now, all from the women in my life. And the way my apartment is organized, the standard of cleanliness, the how I dress, all these things have been upgraded from the ideas from women who have gotten to know me. And I'm a more well put together person who likes himself more
yeah.
because of all these things. I really like that you highlighted that.
And that comes off like instantly to women. Like when you said a girl will look at someone and say he looks like he smells good. I've walked into people's houses that are like really well put together, clean, like everything's perfect, but you could tell a woman wasn't in here. There's no like woman's touch in this decoration, in this furnishing, in these colors and shades. And it's I didn't know it was so noticeable until I noticed it like instantly. And to women it's like 10 times that. Like they catch on to those things immediately. I think because they're built to notice those things. And like from the way that you're put together, from the way your house is put together, it speaks on how much you're around women, how women trust you, how credible you are in their world, and how much empathy and understanding you have for them. It's like all part of the first impression, and your image is the first thing.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to speak on that, a lot of the advice out there for men better connecting with women, and I'm guilty of this too. A lot of the narrative around that is here's how to talk to a woman. Here's how
Uh,
to like talk so women like talking to you. And I want to take this opportunity to say it's not about catering to women and giving everything women they want. But when you can connect in a way that resonates more with the feminine, you
right,
simply become multidimensional. You're
right.
that much more valuable. Of you could be pin dropped in a room full of people that maybe you're not normally around with, and you can do just fine. Like most guys, they're comfortable with their boys that they grew up with drinking beers, but like that's it. That's the extent of them expressing themselves. Like learning to cater to different people, invite new ideas into your life, even just like the way you decorate your house. They make you more multidimensional. And in my opinion, that's a high value man. Why?
Uh,
Because he's rarer. He has more things all put in one box that normally I'm not used to having all in one. It's
yeah,
the same idea with like picture woman A. She cooks, cleans, she gives you massage, she rubs your shoulders, and she's just like all the traditional wife things. And then woman
yeah,
B, she's sassy, she's got an attitude, she's got a porn star body, and fucks you into the morning, right? Both
yeah,
both sound valuable for different reasons, but imagine both of those in the same person.
yeah.
Like that will be your choice every single time. And just the more contrast we bring into our life, the more open minded we are, the more we can stack how rare we are. And I think that's directly where value gets
Right.
perceived.
Now, to leave people with an image or an action step from this, to become more attractive, more magnetic, and be the type of person who feels good about himself and looks good to the women and men around him, what are some activities whether it's like dating or non-dating related, that somebody could start incorporating into their life and doing that will build up their character to make them feel better about themselves and look better to the world?
I think a really good tip that anyone at any level could implement is start showing up more in places that your enthusiasm is bringing you or talking to you. Like, stop worrying about what your boys like or what you grew up thinking is
Uh,
cool. There, if as long as you live in a city, there are events going on every single week of every single little weird niche interest in the world. Let's say for you it's poetry. Let's say deep down you actually really think poetry's cool, but all your friends think it's for pussies, stuff like that.
yeah.
The reason this is so valuable, if you were to show up to a poetry class, it'd probably be 23 women and two guys. I've gone. I know what the numbers are like. What would happen is, because you had real enthusiasm there, you'd find comfort really fast. You'd actually connect with the people, mostly women in a place like that, really, really fast because it was something real that brought you there. And all those conversations, chances are they would increase your, like how you feel towards yourself. And that only comes from being willing to show up on your own. Like, that is what kickstarted my journey in life. Being willing to go places where I wasn't holding the hand of my friends or family, like, who were going to tell me it's going to be okay. Like, going on your own to places that are fueled by your own enthusiasm. Like, look inward and
Uh,
it will arise. What's the obvious choice?
Now, where can people find you and how can they work with you?
On all social medias, they could reach out to me at Rory Good Life and at rorygoodlife.com. And I have an online free university on School, Magnetic University. If anyone wants to come check in, hop on calls, and really get a better understanding of personal magnetism and how to activate it.
Amazing. Well, you guys heard it. Rory, thank you so much for coming on. I really enjoyed our conversation and getting to know a little bit more about your story, about your perspective. And you had a lot of good insights that I'm going to hold on to, that I really appreciate. Having the fact that you have it, and appreciate the fact that I get to see it and experience it in another person. It's really a valuable quality to have in the world, and also something that I appreciate having in my life. Thank you for coming on, and yeah, we'll speak soon.
All right. Good man, Gor. Thanks for having me.